Welcome to another edition of Tax News and the latest tax news and updates in the area of international tax today. So basically, we will be providing two case laws which have come in the last 1 week. And these case law relating to permanent establishment and fee for technical services. Now, the first case law that we have today is that of a Mumbai ITAT in the case of Diefenbacher. This case basically relates to whether the payment for supervision, installation, and commissioning services for dryer fan can be considered to be fee for technical services under the India-Belgium Treaty. Briefly speaking, the facts of the case were that the taxpayer was a German company. It had a permanent establishment in India. And in respect of this permanent establishment, it obtained certain services from a Belgium subcontractor. What were the services? They were in respect of installation, supervision, and commissioning of a dryer fan. While making this payment, the German company did not deduct any TDS on this because they applied the India-Belgium Treaty, the most favored nation clause in that particular treaty, and applying the restrictive meaning given under that treaty, they took a stand that this service is not a fee for technical services. The decision given by the Mumbai ITAT is that the payment is not fee for technical services because by virtue of the most favored nation clause, the services do not fall within the definition of FTS. So the takeaway from this ruling is that the MFN clause was something that overrided the provision of the India-Belgium Treaty. So maybe under the India-Belgium Treaty, it would have been still constituting an FTS. But when you applied the MFN clause, then they were out of the FTS clause and therefore they were held to be non-taxable. Because they were non-taxable, the German company was not under a default for not deducting TDS on such payment. And that is something which we take away from this particular ruling. The second one is in the case of a Bangalore ITAT. The case relates to none other than Google. And the question was whether Google India was a dependent agent permanent establishment of Google Ireland. Now, we all know that, Google basically as a search engine sells advertising space on the search engine. It had Google India, which was basically engaged in the marketing and distribution of such online space to the Indian advertisers. It collected the payment and then, after deducting its shares, was remitting the relevant remaining amount to Google Ireland. Now, the question is, does Google India constitute a permanent establishment of Google Ireland? Now, the first and the foremost thing to know here is that the deduction which was claimed by Google India for payment to Google Ireland was something which was disallowed under Section 40AI, right? There was a distribution and marketing agreement between the two entities. And when entering into contract with the Indian customers, Google India was using a standardized contract without too much of a variation into it. Now, a dependent agent PE comes into existence when basically, the Indian party has the right to authority to conclude contract on behalf of the non-resident. The other question could have been whether this amount is FTS under the India-Ireland tax treaty. Now, in Google India's own case, in an earlier year, it was held that this payment is not FTS and therefore that was not the subject matter of the current decision. The court held that Google India is not a permanent establishment because it did not have any authority to bind Google Ireland. And insofar as FTS clause is concerned, that was an issue which was already decided in one of the earlier years. With that, we come to an end of the update for today. There are only two cases which we have. In case you want us to cover any of the recent developments on income tax or international taxation, you can follow us on various platforms like LinkedIn, YouTube, our website, or Facebook to stay updated about more developments on the tax news. Do give us your feedback. And in the end, I would like to mention that we also have a course on international taxation. In case any one of you wants to subscribe to that, please feel free to reach out to us.